100% jumping.
Yeah. As I adjust the volume on my headphones, we're ready to roll. It's Fabio. Feeling kind of good because it was quite sunny today. Well, the sun came out. That's good enough for me. Well, it's got to be really, isn't it? It's England. Kicking off with, before I say anything else, many thanks to Bobby and Steve. I love my house music. I do always really enjoy listening to house, and especially when it's rolling like that. It's Fabio, by the way, on Kiss 100. The midnight slot on a Friday night. Play new. The very best in drum and bass. Drum and bass seems to be the key word for this music now. Well, he had rock and roll, so why not? Kicking off with the sound of Aqua Sky, track entitled Tranquility. That's the Big Bud remix. Out in your shops very soon, go and check that. Gig guide coming up at 10 to 1, so listen up. I've had a very busy week. I'll be giving you reports on almost everything. It's time to stop the talking and get back to the music.
Original pirate style, Kiss 100.
Lots of brand new flavours tonight. New stuff from Pesce, Q Project, The Usual Suspects. This is the sound of Access. Summer vibes, summer lick. Coming out on Good Looking Records. Check this. Read something quite funny the other day in, I think it was DJ Magazine. Sasha played a whole set of drum and bass. Well, I've got a slight problem with that, seeing as Sasha used to be a hardcore DJ and decided to kind of jump the boats. He thought the boat was kind of sinking quicker than the Titanic. And now he's playing drum and bass. Very strange, very, very strange. Don't go there. Trust me. You know, at the end of the day, you want the real players, you know, who to get in touch with. Got no problem with people playing drum and bass, but stick to what you're doing, what you do best. The sound of Excess on Good Looking Records. Hello to Danny Bookham and MC Conrad. It's Fabio on Kiss rolling until 2. We've got the jazz step. We've got the gig guide. We've got the beats. Here's something that I like a lot. This is the sound of Andy C. A little track entitled Rise Up.
Body can
I'm having major problems with this jingle thing. It's got a life of its own, X-Files business. Sound of Andy C. A track entitled Vivid Dreams. running neat. Remember the gig guide coming up 10 to 1, the just at 1 o'clock. That's the way we do. Right, time for the ad breaks. Back after this with some test press pressure. Must say hello and a big thank you to everyone that went to the Brighton Festival, and everyone that went there really enjoyed themselves, and that's good. It was a really nice vibe in there with daylight. It was a nice evening. Superb PA by the man Goldie. 1.5 hour PA, and he held everybody mesmerised for 1.5 hours. Superb PA, professional stuff. Also, that rider wrecked it earlier on in the night, or earlier on in the evening, as I should say. Excellent set by the Danny Bookham. All round excellence. A very good night. So thanks to Ish and the guys behind that event. And that's going to become a big yearly event, believe it. Right, back to the music. The sound of the funky technician. Something on Creative Wax. Got to say a lie. Yeah. I wouldn't tell you a lie. So hello, going out to DJ Pulse, PIM, and also the man Professor Stretch.
Nobody can funk for longer. Nobody.
Rolling with the beat. Saying a big hello going out to MCGQ. The man himself, deep in his beats. I've got something coming up for you later, my friends. Also a big hello to MC Moose. Doing their thing. Also, I'd like to say many thanks to everyone who represented Dan Speed last night. Me and the Grooverider caused warfare in there last night. Believe it. Superb night. Gotta say a big hello and thanks to the hardcore. Fabio and Kiss, we're rolling until 2. Rolling with some TP Pressure. Track entitled Close Encounters. Getting on the percussive tip. Also, I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone who attended the Metalhead sessions on Sunday. Again, me and the partner in crime. A slamming session. Big hello to the G-Man. The mission isn't impossible, Goldie. You know exactly what I'm saying. And Goldie, you got something for me, for sure. Big hello to Goldie, Meredith, Christian, and all the crew representing down there at the Metalheads. Right, we're going to take another pause for a cause. Back after this with something from JMJ and Richie.
London's 100% more music station.
I'd like to pick up on something Grooverider mentioned the other night. When I was out in Japan, we actually found out that our shows on KISS are being sold on the internet, which I think is such a liberty. And of course we didn't know anything about this, and I was being interviewed and some guy said, what about being on the internet? And showed me a sheet of paper that he photocopied of our tapes for sale, and people think they can get away with doing things like that. They've got another thing coming. Got people on the case. Trust me. But this is going out to everyone that listens to the shows near and far. I know a lot of people get the tapes sent up to Great Yarmouth, Birmingham, Coventry, Norwich, Ipswich, even places as far afield as America and Hong Kong, can you believe? Drum and bass is a passing phase. Not. Also, big hello to partner in the studio, Jason. He's bought me a little Fruitopia Blackcurrant Babylon. A lick for the summer. Sounds of JMJ and Richie and a track entitled Montana. That was going out to Graham from Boy Meringue. Also a big shout to Paul Thomas. Sending out respects to Jam Master J, Flytronics, Hyperon Experience, and the whole of the great Yarmouth Massive. Another excellent little party I went to in the week on Wednesday night. Down at the Blue Note, Big Al's Records. The launch party, and that was just nice and tight in there. Really enjoyed that. Big hello going out to Alex Reese, the Wax Doctor. And many respects going out to the Grooverider for an excellent show on Wednesday night. Covering for the Jumping Jack Frost. Absolutely rolling. Remember the jazz step coming up at 1 o'clock. Also, I am going to give you the history lesson this week. And that track is coming up next, and it's an absolute classic. No doubt. Sending this one out to Karina, along with Cheyenne, and not forgetting Michael. Also, we've got the competition. As Jason's just written down in front of me in big letters, comp, yes. I'll remember that one. Gig guide coming up just before 1. Time's already flying. Summer's here, no doubt. Late evenings. Pollution, hay fever, road rage. Can't wait.
Drop. Drop.
entitled Drop in Science. As we do on a Friday night with the Fabio. And remember, when I'm not here, Grooverider will be representing in the hot seats. Each and every Friday, the now legendary sessions, 12 till 2. Right, the history lesson coming up next, and the next track is one of those tracks that came about at the very, very start of Jungle and brought a lot of people into the music. There's a track that's sounding as fresh today as it sounded on the first time I ever heard it. I played it last night at speed as my first tune, and it absolutely rocked the house. An absolutely killer cut from a very underrated artist. From the intro, you'll know the track. The track jumps after about 20 seconds, so excuse that, but a killer cut. The history lesson over for this week with that classic percussion line and that infamous break. The man Deep Blue, ex of Two Bad Mice, came up with an absolute classic at the end of 1993, beginning of 94. The helicopter track. Really one of the tunes that kicked off the jungle scenes, and I remember even in the early days of the jungle fever and the roast, that track used to cause absolute mayhem. Respects to Rob Playford, also Deep Blue, Psy, Lady Caroline, and everyone representing down there at Moving Shack.
Kiss 100.
Right, time for the gig guide. And also we're telling you what I was up to in the week. Tomorrow night I'm over at Helter Skelter down there in Milton Keynes for the first time.
100% in the big...
Shut up. Get out of here, mad woman. Anyway, that's totally thrown me. Right, what was I saying? Helter Skelter. Tomorrow night, for the first time in a long time, I will be attending down there at the Sanctuary in Milton Keynes. And that's for a massive rave in 2 warehouses. And you've got everyone from the field of jungle, drum and bass, happy hardcore. Got DJs like Dougal, Vibe, Psy, Jumpin' Jack Frost, DJ Randall Hype, myself Grooverider, amongst a whole host of big names down there at the Sanctuary tomorrow in Milton Keynes. A big hello to Dave from Helter Skelter. Sunday I've got a night off, can you believe it? Well, I'll probably be down there at the Blue Note Sessions, Doc Scott, Chemistry and Storm, down there in Hoxton Square for a tear-up session. Also next Wednesday, watch out for the Jazz Cafe, interactive drum and bass. One-off futuristic drum and bass night. Interacting live percussion and music from the likes of Cleveland Watkins, Calvin Singh, the superb Steve Williamson, who absolutely rocked it with Cleveland down at the Brighton Festival. And we'll be jamming live. I'll be spinning some tracks down there. That's at the Jazz Cat, the Jazz Step, this coming Wednesday. Also, watch out for Grooverider and Africa Bambaataa. 2 godfathers in their own field meet up at the Crypt in Brixton for an extraordinary night, really. I'll be down there supporting the man. That's at the Crypt in Brixton, Grooverider, Africa Bambaataa. Also, watch out for the Gardening Club 2. A new night called Subtropic. And that's a night of drum and bass, along with trip hop and other stuff. Myself, James Lavelle, LTJ Bookham, amongst others, will be down there next Friday. That's at the Gardening Club 2. Big hello going out to Dave Roberts and crew. Also, next Saturday, it's not only the start of Euro 96, it's also the speed all-nighters after watching the footy. Come down and represent down at the all-nighter down there at the end. Myself, LTJ Bookham, Doc Scott, DJ Lee and special guest Jumpin' Jack Frost, playing the jazz drum and bass style. That's down there at the end. You can get tickets by credit card and you can get them in various record shops. So that's the speed all-nighter, no doubt a classic. Also watch out for Rage, July the 1st. Myself, Doc Scott, Chemistry and Storm, the Grooverider, head-to-head warfare business going on in the legendary and probably the greatest drum and bass club ever. That's Rage, July the 1st. And we are all here because of Rage, believe it. Right. got through that relatively unscathed. So that's next Wednesday. You've got the Jazz Camp. Let me start from Saturday, Helter Skelter. Sunday, Blue Note with Doc Scott, Chemistry and Storm. Wednesday, you got the Jazz Camp with myself, along with the Innermost, Mark Gilmore on the drums, Steve Williamson, Cleveland Watkins, etc. Say no more. Grooverider, Africa Bambata. Speed All Nighter, Subtropic, it's all running, it's all good. Also got to say a big hello to everyone at AWOL who celebrated their 4th birthday party last week. Those guys have kept it up for 4 years, respect to them. Right, time for Pause for a Cause. Back after that with the Jazz Step. I'll be back. We've got 4 copies of In Order to Dance to give away, 4 CD copies. And that's just for the first 4 people that ring in. So that's 4 CD copies of In Order to Dance to give away. First 4 callers get on the blower now. Love that tune to the bone. The sounds of the Underwolves and a tune entitled The Crossing. Lovely, lovely, sublime stuff that is. Sending a big hello out to Jamie Lee Cruz and all the crew down there at Touch Magazine. No doubt. Also sending it out to Vicky. Passed the driving test. Safe. So big hello going out to Katie. Groove Connection. Big hello going out to the man they call him Mickey Finn. Mickus Finnis. Easy Mickey. Rolling on the one. Kiss 100. Sending out great respects to Jumpin' Jack Frost. Hold on in there. Yeah. Also, Brian G, V Records, killing it right now. Good stuff. Sending that one out to Leo. Easy, Leo. We're rolling on the jazz vibe, the jazz step. Giving you something a little different on a Friday night. Big respect going out to Danny Jungle. His young lady Emma. Also big respect to the Bournemouth crew. Not forgetting Wayne. Big hello going out to Flux. Distresser. Also the rest of the Interboys. We're rolling on that sunshine summer vibe.
Music.
100% rolling and rolling with the jazz vibe. Saying a big hello to DJ of the Year, my partner in crime, the mighty Grooverider. As a professional, he's getting even better, and that is hard to believe, but that guy is on top form at the moment. Saying a big hello to Funky, Sinead, and everybody down there at Innovation. A big hello going out to Trevor, Louise, and Lucy. Yeah. Right, time for the final ad break. Back after that with more pressure.
100.
Kiss 100% stamina. Nobody can funk for longer. Nobody.
Catching a bit of summer breeze. The sound of Carlito, a track entitled Night Moves. Getting on some night movements with Fabio, Kiss 100, the Jazz Step. Remember the Jazz Cafe this Wednesday coming. Interactive drum and bass. face. Don't let no one tell you this is easy listening. This is good music. Forget the crap and get real. Music is the basis. Always keep sight of that. Never forget where you're coming from.
London's 100% more music station.
Remember, watch out for that rave, July the 1st. The date is set. June the 8th, Speed All Nighter. And Club World is looking nice at the moment. Been to some excellent gigs recently. The vibe's taking us back to the early days. I'd like to say respect to all the guys that really started off house music in general. Guys like Marshall Jefferson, all the early track stuff. Farley Jack Master Funk, Jack Smooth. Not forgetting Tyree, Armando, Tommy Musto, Joey Beltram, his New Groove days, Benji Candelero,